Let's begin in child's pose. Coming onto your knees, sink your hips back so that they are sitting over your feet. And you can spread your knees wide as your mat. And slowly lean forward, walking your hands to the front of your mat. Bring your forehead to the floor. Take a deep breath in and exhale through the mouth. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhaling your lungs to complete capacity, creating space in your chest, and then exhaling completely through your mouth. And when you're ready, come forward onto tabletop, bringing your knees directly underneath your hips and your shoulders over your wrists. We're going to begin with cat-cow. So on the inhalation, bring your chin upwards, drop your stomach towards the ground, lift your tailbone to the sky, and fill your lungs completely. And on your exhalation, release, pulling your spine up towards the ceiling, tucking your tailbone towards your forehead, pulling them towards each other, pushing all of the air out of your lungs. And we'll do this 4 more times. Breathing in, pulling your chin upward, your stomach toward the floor, and your tailbone up toward the sky for cow pose. And on your exhalation, bending the other way, tucking your chin towards your chest, tucking your tailbone towards your forehead, bringing your spine all the way up to the ceiling for cat pose. And inhale again for cow pose. And exhale for cat pose. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, 1 more. Extending all the way. And exhale. Closing in cat pose, making it as deep of a stretch as possible, pulling your spine all the way to the ceiling. And release, bringing back a neutral spine and tabletop. You can sway your hips back and forth a little bit, loosen your spine up. And then when you're settled, push back into downward facing dog, lifting your hips all the way up towards the sky, straightening your legs as much as is comfortable for you. You can keep your knees deeply bent, pushing your hips towards the sky, which will lengthen the spine and create space in your backside. And have your hands pressing into the floor. Energetically spin them toward one another so that your biceps energetically spin out. And breathe. Now come out of down dog and step to the front of your mat, and we'll stand here before we begin our first Surya Namaskar variation. This variation is a nice dynamic flow, so it will bring a lot of movement to the body. We'll begin in Warrior 2. From a standing position, step your feet wide apart and parallel, with the outer edge of your back foot parallel to the back of your mat, and your front foot perpendicular to that foot. Raise your arms to shoulder height and parallel to the floor, and on your next exhalation, bend the front knee directly over the ankle and gaze over your front hand. Maintain your shoulders over your hips and keep your torso perpendicular to the floor. Keep your pelvis flat and with both hip joints facing the side of your mat without rolling your front knee in. Your front shin should be perpendicular to the floor, so widen your stance if your knee goes over your ankle. Give yourself the space to find that angle. Now press down through the outer edge of your back foot while keeping your back leg straight and strong. On your next inhalation, broaden across the collarbones and bring your shoulder blades down and back. On your next exhalation, extend your torso toward the front of the mat, directly over your front leg. Ideally, your thigh remains parallel to the floor. The thigh that is bent in your front leg remains parallel to the floor. If you can, rest your front hand on the floor and extend your top arm toward the ceiling. If you cannot reach the floor comfortably, you can use a block and rest your hand on a block, whichever height is most comfortable to you. Extend your top arm toward the ceiling and then turn your palm towards the floor and reach to the front of your mat. On your next exhalation, come back into Warrior 2, bringing your torso upright and your arms parallel to the floor. Bring your shoulders over your hips and inhale, lengthening the spine. Exhale, settling into this posture. Straighten your front leg and lengthen your spine towards the ceiling. And then exhale and tilt from the hip over your front leg, extending your torso directly over the front of your leg. Rest your front hand on either your shin or your ankle, or holding onto your big toe. You can use a block here as well. Find what's possible for you without distorting your torso, keeping it open and straight. Stretch the opposite arm, the top arm, towards the ceiling, opening the chest. Send energy through your fingertips to broaden your chest. Bring your shoulder blades down your spine. Breathe evenly and deeply. Create space in the chest with your breath. On your next exhalation, release, coming back to Warrior 2 with your shoulders over your hips, bending your front knee again, keeping your shin perpendicular to the floor. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, sinking a little deeper into the posture, and release. And now we're going to stand with our feet wide apart. You can face the side of your mat. And with your feet a little wider than your elbows if your arms are extended. Now place your hands on your waist. Take a deep breath in. Lift your chest, making the front of your torso slightly longer than the back. And breathe out, maintaining the length in the front of your torso. Fold forward from the hips, and when your torso becomes parallel to the floor, place your hands on the floor. And if you can't reach, you can use some blocks here, whatever is comfortable for you. You can bend your knees slightly without letting your knees drop inward. That will also reduce some of the tension on your lower back. Pause here, bringing your gaze upward towards the ceiling, but keeping your neck elongated. Breathe out and bend your elbows and lower your torso and head into a full forward bend. Walk your hands back until your forearms are perpendicular to the floor, and then settle here. If your head reaches the ground, you can place it there. You can put your head on a block, or you can use your core to bring yourself closer to your legs. Breathe evenly and deeply, taking long, slow breaths, creating space in your chest as you breathe. Walk your hands back forward so that they're directly under your shoulders. Pause here, take a deep breath in, lifting your gaze up towards the ceiling, and gently release with an exhale. Place your hands on your hips and slowly bring your torso back up to standing. Bend the leg of the opposite side that you did last time, and bring your shoulders over your hips and your knee over your ankle, trying to find that sweet spot where your front shin is perpendicular to the floor. Press down through the outer edge of your back foot, keeping your back leg straight and strong. And on your inhalation, broaden across your collarbones. Stretch your fingertips out in opposite directions. And breathe deeply here. On your next exhalation, extend your torso towards the front of the mat, keeping it directly over your front leg. Rest your front hand on the floor or a block and extend your top arm towards the ceiling, turning your palm face down and bringing your arm close to your ear. Take a deep breath in, opening your chest and pulling your top arm behind your top ear a little bit, creating space in your chest as you breathe. And on your next exhalation, release back into Warrior 2, where your torso is upright and your shoulders are over your hips, your knee is still bent, arms extended, looking over your front fingertips. Take a deep breath, lengthening the spine on your inhalation. On your next inhalation, straighten your front leg and lift your spine towards the ceiling. And then exhale and tilt from your hip over the front leg, extending your torso directly over your front leg. So you're keeping it in line as if you could squish your body between two planes of glass. Rest your front hand on your shin or your ankle or a block, or you can wrap your fingers around your big toe. Find what is possible for your body. Just keep your torso open and your spine lengthened. Stretch the top arm towards the ceiling, opening the chest. Breathe evenly and deeply. You can broaden your shoulders by sending energy through your arms and out from the fingertips. Take a deep breath. And on your next exhalation, come back up into Warrior 2 with your shoulder blades above your hips, your front knee bent, your arms extended sideways and your gaze over your front fingertips. Take a deep breath in, lengthen the spine upward, and release. Bring your feet together or step to the front of the mat, the top of the mat, and we'll meet in mountain pose or Tadasana. Stand up straight with your toes and heels together. Inhale, lifting your chest upward and bringing your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Exhale and push your hips slightly forward. Turn your inner thighs toward the back of your mat and turn your palms toward the front of your mat. Breathe deeply and evenly, using your breath to lift your chest as if you're filling it with air like a balloon. On your next inhalation, bring your arms up overhead and exhale, folding forward, keeping your legs bent but your arms loose. Inhale, half lift and bring your head so that it's in line with your hips. Shoot your heart forward, creating space in your chest and lengthening your spine. And exhale, stepping back into tabletop with your knees on the floor, your hips over your knees, and your shoulders over your wrists. On your next inhalation, we'll drop into cow, bringing the stomach down towards the ground, lifting the chin up towards the sky, bringing your tailbone up towards the ceiling, and exhale into cat pose. Bringing your spine up towards the ceiling and tucking your chin against your chest, tucking your tailbone, and release into a neutral spine. Now sink your hips back and come into child's pose, walking your hands forward. Drop your forehead onto your mat. Take a few deep breaths here, using your breath to fill your lungs and create space, and your exhalation to settle and relax into this posture. And coming onto our knees, lifting your torso up so that your shoulders are over your hips. Bring your knees together into thunderbolt pose, resting your hands on the tops of your thighs, keeping your spine light and neutral. We'll do a few more deep breaths. Take a deep breath. Fill the torso as if you want to pop. As if you're a balloon and you're just reaching the limit. And exhale. Inhale again, filling your torso completely. Breathe so deeply that the side of your ribs are expanding like an accordion. And exhale, releasing all of the air inside of your lungs, all of the tension in your body. And settle here and breathe naturally just for a few moments. And when you're ready, let's come onto our backs for the final resting pose, Shavasana. You can have your legs spread a little bit, whatever's comfortable for you, your feet flopped open. Rest your arms somewhere by your side that feels good for you. Bring your shoulder blades together so that they are flat against the floor. Take a deep breath in, filling your chest completely, and then release on your exhale. Releasing any tension, any muscle that's holding you in a certain position. And just breathe here naturally. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, waking your body up, bringing you back to this reality. Come onto your side in the fetal position and just rest here for a moment as if you're going to sleep. When you're ready, push yourself up with your hands into a seated position. Bringing your palms to heart center at your chest. Take one last deep breath in and exhale. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that this dynamic flow was such a joy for your body, your joints, and your spine. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.